Hi there! Welcome to Craft with Kathie.
I have a beautiful Easter project for you. It's really actually simple, but I did create it in a couple different individual videos. And the first one basically is how to add texture to the bunny cutouts. And the bunny cutouts are these nice wood cutouts that are about 3/4 inch thick, and they were really easy to add a little bit of texture to. Let me get started and show you exactly how that was done. The bunny cutouts actually are fine on their own, but in this project I've added them to the oval beaded frame. Here are the cutouts. There are 3 different images of little bunnies, and like I said, they're wood. So I'm just going to take them out of the package, and to create a little bit of texture for them, I'm going to use some chalk paint, not our paste, the actual chalk paint, and some sea spray mixed with a little bit of water. So I'll mix the paint, the sea spray, and the water together, and then I'm going to apply it to 2 of the bunnies. Easy to do. You just want to make sure that everything is incorporated well before you actually start applying it to the bunnies. And I used our one of our little color trays for the mixture. There was the the paint. I added the sea spray, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water to that to thin it down a little bit. A little bit more paint, I guess, right now. And then I'm going to apply the texture mixture to the individual cutouts. And I'll actually use a stir stick to do that. And I'm just doing it until I could get mixture. I want the consistency to be something like peanut butter. I don't want it real loose and runny. I want it to be able to stick to the actual cutout, but I also want it to be able to be kind of smooth. I'm going to pat it on with a stir stick. And here I go, add a little bit more paint there. I actually mixed up enough of this to cover 2 of the bunnies. And you want to work fairly quickly with it. You don't want it drying out. That sea spray is really sucking up the paint. But just keep adding more paint or more sea spray until you get like I said, the consistency of a peanut butter. The cutouts come whitewashed, so I didn't need to paint them or anything. Just cleaning things up there a little bit. And I start applying the mixture of sea spray and chalk paint with my little stir stick. I tried the paintbrush, but really it was great just piling it on and patting it. That worked out pretty good. So I just want to cover the whole area, and I want it to be a little bit bumpy, so I'm patting and then lifting up the stir stick so there's little valleys and little peaks. Kind of almost if you were working with like stiff egg whites and you were putting them on a pie or whatever. You just want those little peaks and valleys in there. So I just want to keep putting it on. You could put more than 1 coat, but if you need 2 coats, I would let it dry overnight before you apply a second coat. I put this on heavy enough that I didn't require another coat, and I think this turned out just fine. The only thing that I did notice is by the time I got to the second bunny, my mixture had dried out a little bit, so I had a little bit difference in the results between the first bunny and the second bunny. And I'll show you them when I go to add a little bit of color, the difference. The second bunny, because the the mixture was a little bit thicker, had more of a crackle effect to it than the first one. But they both looked really cute. So once these are dry, make sure you let them dry for a good couple hours before you try adding color or playing around with them, because you don't want to bump or chip the little texture mixture either. So I just set that aside to dry, and then off camera I did the second bunny. I decided to add some color. I wanted them to look kind of worn and distressed, so I mixed up a little bit of Storm and Dune paste. I didn't want a brown, I didn't want really a gray, but I wanted something in between, something to almost make them look a little dingy. And the mixing of the dune and the storm achieved that color. Of course, by the end of this project, I changed my mind on the coloring, but you'll see that when I get to it. So let's take a look at the difference between these two. This was the first bunny in my left hand, second bunny in my right. If you notice that the bunny in the right hand has more crackles to it. It has the texturing and everything, but it did do a little crackle effect also. So depending upon what you want to do, it was just the paste was thicker, or the mixture was thicker with the one with the more crackles. So if that's what you're aiming for, just let it be a little bit drier, more like a thick peanut butter. So here I'm going to mix up my colors. Now you could have, I actually saw someone do this in kind of like pinks and purples, and it was very, very cute. But for my oval, my beaded oval that I have the bunny tree pattern on, that's going to be in green, so that wasn't really suitable for what I was doing. So I went with this kind of a little bit dingy, dirty look to it, which I think was fine, but you'll see when I get to the end how I changed my mind a little bit on what I was doing. We are celebrating the first year anniversary of our Perks program, and our Perks program is for frequent customers, and it allows someone to save 30% off on everything other than our Dixie Belle line. It costs $20 to join the Perks program, and in return you get a $20 product credit immediately, and then you get 30% off everything other than our Dixie Belle line. So it's a really great way to save money on your craft supplies. And we have a special going on right now during March, that if you join in March, pay the $20, get your $20 product credit. When April comes, there is no monthly fee, and you will still get another $20 product credit. So that's a great deal. See, I'm applying the chalk paste mixture, the watered down chalk paste mixture, and then I'm thinning it out a little bit by spraying it with some water to have it kind of run off. I didn't want it real dark. I just wanted the color in more of the crevices so that it just looked a little distressed or dingy or older or whatever you want to call it, but that's what I was going for. So I'm going to just set that to dry again and then get on to the next bunny, and I basically do the same thing, same process. We have a lot of things going on this month, a lot of them ending March 31st. We are offering flat rate shipping of $5 for any designer or Perks member with a $50 order. We are also giving away 2 bunny drawstring bags with any $50 order while supplies last. Lots of cool things going on. I'm going to put them at the end of this video, so stay tuned after I say goodbye, and you can check out all the specials that are happening right now. So after this, on to the background, chalking the bunny treat pattern. The bunny treat pattern is an adorable little bunny design with carrots and rabbits scattered all over it. It is a C-size transfer, which means it is 18 by 18 inches. All of our transfers are reusable. They're kind of like stencils on steroids, think of them like that. They are adhesive backed, reusable, somewhat translucent, which make them real easy to apply. And they're lots of fun to use, and you can make many different things with them. And I am going to apply that to our beaded oval frame. This is a beautiful frame, and basically I hadn't decided which bunny was going on the frame at this point, but our frame, our beaded oval frame, comes with a removable insert, which is a chalkboard, which means it's reusable over and over and over again. You get tired with the design, spritz it with water, use a paper towel or a board eraser to clean it off, dry it, and chalk a new design. But with this chalkboard black on one side and white on the other, you could have 2 different designs and just flip it around to suit the occasion or the holiday or whatever. So that's really cool. Silly me, I couldn't find my green chalk paste, my meadow green that I wanted to use for this project, so I ended up mixing up I think some sunshine yellow and some blue, and then adding a different color green that I had, I think the Scout, to get the right color for my surface. And I'm going to actually chalk the black side of the surface, and I need to get that transfer and fuzz it. Now when you're fuzzing a transfer this large, usually I will use 2 fuzzing cloths. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, go ahead and you could use a towel or something like that. I'm just illustrating how it's removable, so it makes it real easy to chalk and apply the chalk paste to. I'm using chalk paste, which is specially formulated to work with our surfaces, and you could use our paste on wood, chalkboard, dry erase board, glass, metal, mirror, just about everything, and even fabric. I'm toying with the idea of using this pattern on a pillowcase. I don't know if I want to actually do it in like a gray or a brown for the bunnies and then green and orange for the carrots, or if I just want to do the whole thing in maybe like a mauve pink. I think the mauve pink would be very, very pretty. So it's just an idea for when I'm done with this project of how to use it a different way. So I am going to chalk on the black side of the chalkboard. So I'm just pulling this off of its backer. It is on a paper backer because it's adhesive backed. And before I actually start chalking with it, I want to deliberately apply a little bit of lint with my fuzzing cloth so that it doesn't stick quite as strongly. Especially when your transfers are newer, they're very, very sticky. So I want to deliberately apply a little bit of lint that'll be removed when I clean it so that it doesn't stick very strongly to the surface. Chalkboard's not much of an issue, but if you're chalking on anything that is non-porous like glass or mirror or metal, you want to fuzz quite a bit because it will stick very, very strongly. Now notice I didn't have that fully aligned at the top. I want to straighten that out, make sure that my whole board is covered and that my bunnies are on there straight. I'm smoothing it out to make sure I don't have any air bubbles underneath the silk screen, and the silk screen is anywhere that you could see through to the surface beneath it. Now I'm taking my chalk paste and just smoothing it all over the surface. And once I get it fully covered, then I'll go back over, smooth out any lines, remove any excess paste, and put the paste back into the jar, any excess paste. Didn't really have any excess paste for this, but here's the big peel and reveal. Isn't that a beautiful design? Now I have to admit this was a little awkward. I had to move my chalkboard over. I wanted to let it dry. It's going to take about 5 minutes or so to dry, but I also was holding the stencil in my hand and it's a little bit large. Generally I would wash this at a sink or maybe even in the shower, being it's 18 inches by 18 inches. But instead I'm going to clean it at my surface here at the table. So I just spritzed it with some water and I'm using a board eraser to remove the excess paste from the stencil. Once I get most of the paste off, I'm going back over with a disinfecting cloth or disinfecting wipe and just cleaning off the excess paste. This is on the side that I chalked, and then I'm going to flip it over and remove the paste from the opposite side, from the sticky or the adhesive side. So here I've got another disinfecting wipe and I'm going over it, getting the paste out of the silk screen. The silk screen gives our stencils the ability to create such beautiful detailed designs. They're absolutely amazing. You don't get that out of normal stencils. So there's a lot of detail in all of our designs, which makes them fun and easy to work with. And this is reusable, so I'm going to set this aside to dry, sticky side up. Once I have all the paste off, now I'm just wiping the lint off. I usually just go in one direction on the sticky side to get any lint that was picked up or that was applied deliberately. Get that all off, then I'll set it aside to dry, sticky side up. Once it's dry, I'll put the backer back on it, and then I'll store it in its little cellophane envelope for the next use. Our chalk paste and our ink are water soluble, so it's easy cleanup. And yes, I said ink. If you're going to use if you want to put our designs on anything that will be washed, always use ink. Otherwise, use our chalk paste. Now I'm taking one of the bunnies and I'm just sanding it a little bit. I'm roughing it up, trying to get a little bit of a distressed edge on it. and remove a little bit of that texture. It really didn't make too much of a difference, but I just kept sanding until I got it the way I liked it. You could skip this step if you want. In retrospect, with how I colored it again after I finished the project, this probably wasn't necessary at all, and I'll explain that in a minute. I had some silk ribbon that I wanted to put a bow around the bunny's neck, and some silk and some lace ribbon, and I wanted a flower, and I fiddled a little around with it a little bit, and then of course at the end changed it again. I just didn't like the flower that I had, so I rearranged it a little bit there, so you'll see the end product looks a little bit different, but you could really do whatever you want. It was fine on its own, or just the ribbon, or a ribbon and a flower, or smaller flowers, whatever. You go with what appeals to you. That's the fun thing about crafting, is make it your way. You could follow an intended design, or we have lots of kits where there's a video, corresponding video, or a photo to show you how to make it, and you could go down that road, or you could put your own total spin on it and do it however you want. And that's the fun of crafting. Make it your way. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to be a designer, it is so much fun. I love sharing projects with people, showing them how to do it, teaching people how to chalk. It's amazing to me when I see someone lift off the transfer for the first time and see the peel and reveal and see what they've made. It gives me such a kick, and I just love how it lights up their faces. It is a lot of fun, and it is so easy. If you can butter toast, you can chalk. Seriously. And inking is kind of even easier than chalking. When you use ink, it needs to be heat set either in an oven if you're doing like ceramics, cups or whatever, or if you're doing it on fabric, heat set with an iron or a heat press. It's a lot of fun, and actually you could go at a little bit slower of a pace when you're inking, because when you're chalking, you just want to take care that your chalk doesn't dry in your silkscreen. But there are methods and little techniques for more involved projects that you can use. If you'd like to know more information about becoming a designer, comment team, and I will send you a link to a little video that tells you a little bit more about it. I'd love to see you on my team. It's a nice way to add some income and fun to your life. So I'm going to use our gilding wax to actually make the beads on this frame, and the top part of the frame. I'll give it a little bit of a gold shimmer to it. So I'm opening up my gilding wax, and I'm using some paint brushes, just dipping it in there very gently and brushing it over the beads of the frame. It's real easy and quick to do. You put as much or as little as you want to get the look that you desire. I'm using a very light touch, just dipping it in the gilding wax, putting a little bit on the edge of my paintbrush, and just going back and forth, kind of like feathering it across. You don't have to apply a lot of pressure, just an easy touch, and you just add as much or as little as you want to get the look that you're going for. This was kind of fun and so easy. Just loved it. Going back over, checking any areas that might not be as dark as I wanted them to, making sure that it has an overall even look around the frame. Wasn't that simple and easy? Quick. And yes, I may have gotten a little carried away. When I was all done with the project, or thought I was done, I decided to add gilding wax to the edges of the bunny cutout. So I basically covered them totally in gold, so like there weren't any white edges showing. And then I decided to gild the whole bunny, like gild the whole lily. Well, I gilded the entire bunny. So instead of an off or a dingy kind of bunny, and I now have a gold bunny. Kind of reminds me of the gold foil wrap bunnies at Easter. Now, I had a couple of these little flippers that I hadn't pulled totally out of the way, so that's why I was having a difficult time inserting the frame back, the chalkboard back into the frame. But once I moved them out of the way, then I was able to insert the chalkboard without any problem. And remember, that chalkboard, I could turn it around and put a design on the white side, maybe do something for spring, maybe do something for 4th of July, who knows, but put a whole nother image on the opposite side and then just flip it around when the seasons or the occasion changes. I do think this looked sweet, but like I said, I got a little carried away and did a little bit more to it. So this is how I initially envisioned this project. I did, like I said, I did swap out the ribbon and flower, and I'll post that, a little video with the next actual part that I wasn't intending to doing, but that's the fun part about crafting. Make it the way you like it. Change it up. If you're not happy with it, let it sit a day and see if you need to add a little something to it. If you are not in my VIP group and would like to be privy to inside information, extra projects, and other specials, comment VIP and I will send you the link. Well, I got a little carried away yesterday. After I thought I was done, I wasn't really happy with how the bow and whatever looked on this, and I decided I didn't like the white edges. So I used my gilding wax and my paintbrush, and I just basically dipped and brushed the sides to make them all gold, which I think turned out kind of nice. But then, because I love the gilding wax and it was so easy to use, I went a little crazy and I decided, instead of having the distressed or the aged look to it, I'd make it a gold bunny, kind of like the chocolate bunnies wrapped in gold foil for Easter. So that's kind of what I did, and I changed the bow and added a smaller flower. So this is what the end product looks like. You gotta tell me which one you like the best, the one with the with it distressed and the other bow with the lace, or with the gold on here. Not quite sure which way I should go, but I think the goldy actually brings out the gilding on the beaded surface, so I might just leave it like this. But let me know which one you prefer. I'm going to post all those goodies that we have going on that are for the Perks Palooza that ends on this Monday, the 31st of March. Stay tuned, they're coming right up. So here we have the anniversary special. Sign up for Perks membership in March and you will get April for free. Both months you will get a $20 credit, product credit. So pay $20 in March, get the $20 product credit and 30% off. In April, get another $20 product credit, and there's no fee for April. You could join or drop anytime you want. What a great deal. And then also included with that is we have another special. With any $50 purchase, you can receive these 2-carat drawstring bags. Aren't they cute? Perfect for putting a little gift or little something in there to brighten up somebody's day. So these are free while supplies last with a $50 or more purchase. And they're a nice size. They're about 6 or 7 inches tall, so you could put lots of goodies in them. And then we have some new kits and bundles. Great little projects at a very economical price. We have the beaded bunnies, and then we have a combo with the chalk cutouts of a lamb and a swan, and the corresponding transfers. They're really cute, would make great adornments for Easter or even for a nursery. And then to sweeten the pot a little more, we have a $5 flat rate shipping for any order of $50 or more. This is for Perks members and designers only. But it's a great way to save on shipping, especially if you want to order some surfaces or anything that might be a little bit heavier. And then We also have a mystery kit. 6 transfers, 2 paste singles, 1 accessory, and 1 surface for only $35. Isn't that a wonderful deal? There is no guarantee that the kits, if you order 2, that they would be duplicates. Some pieces of it might be, some might be not. That's the mystery. So if you're up for a little bit of challenge and you like a little suspense, you might want to consider the mystery kit. And then the piece de resistance, we have 25% off Easter and spring items. Isn't this great? So take advantage of any of these specials. I have the link to my site at the top of the screen. And if you have any questions, just drop me a comment or private message me. I'd be happy to help you out. Just remember, these all end on March 31st, so get them while we've got them. See you soon.